The San Francisco Giants season is all but over. Another loss, and it wasn't close, to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as far as we're concerned, even the most optimistic fan out there, unless you're in Chile, even the most optimistic fan out there has to admit, self-included, that's a wrap for this year. And it's time to talk about, okay, so now what? What happens next? What is the right thing to do? Who's the right person to drive it? And we do need to have a conversation about multiple people named Brandon, which more on that in a second. But here it is. And just pay close attention, not to the final out, but by how it's presented from none other than the great Dwayne Kuiper.
Bailey looking for his first hit. And he wraps one to left. Carroll back, and he reaches up, and what's new? That's the ball game. So the Giants, they understood exactly what they had to do in this series, and it didn't happen. As Logan Webb, a hard luck loser once again, and the offense, Merrill Kelly held him down.
Oh, what's new?
Wow.
NBC Sports Bay Area, Dwayne Kuiper with the call of today's 7-1 loss in Arizona. So there are a couple things here. We were just asked by a listener, okay, who would be this team's Deion Sanders? And I'd like to extend that almost to like beyond just the managerial position.
Sure, the figure, the person.
Well,
right?
Who's going to get you going? It doesn't have to be a manager. It could be a center fielder. It could be a pitcher. It could be Shohei Ohtani. Like, it could be, like,
sure,
whatever you want.
Think about last year with the Niners when they didn't necessarily need that person, but they got Christian McCaffrey for a second, third, fourth, and a fifth. And from the moment he touched the ball for the first time in red and gold, it felt like he was born here, drafted here. He was us.
They've barely lost a football game since.
Exactly.
Right.
But that was the kind of shot, and the Niners didn't even need it. But that's, I think, the kind of impact we're talking about with the Giants.
Well, and the reason I say beyond manager is twofold. A, I don't think Gabe Kapler's going anywhere. I think Gabe Kapler's going to be the manager of the Giants next year. That's number one. Number two, we gave the answer Buster Posey. That would sort of like, that would really excite the fan base, though not in a Deion way at all. And in fact, not even in a Shohei way, not even in a Cody Bellinger way, because Buster's not going to go play baseball. And I don't know, do you like, oh my gosh, we got to go to the Game Time app and we got to go to section 22 and buy hot dogs and buy beer so that we can watch Buster sit there and
right.
make pitching changes? So
and Buster doesn't present that, like Deion is incredible because he is a showman. He's exciting. He's electric. He does a lot. I mean, he was a great player, obviously.
PR machine.
He is.
A machine.
But he's not synonymous with Colorado football like Buster is with Giants baseball, right?
A little bit.
It might be the first time he's ever been to Colorado.
What the hell is synonymous with Colorado football? Cordell Stewart?
Yes.
That's about it.
Yes. And
right? I mean, what else?
Eric Bieniemy?
I guess. Okay.
I'm reaching.
You are.
I stretched during the break, though, so I feel like, and I got a sugar-free Red Bull, so I'm ready.
Good.
Ready to bring my A game the rest of the way.
Yeah. That person, I'd rather that person's a player than a manager. And I do think Farhan and Gabe are back next year. I'm getting a lot, and I knew I would. I have for a while. Oh, you still support him now? You big jerk. You've been supporting him for years. I do.
You homer?
I do.
Should move to Springfield and marry Marge.
I do still support them. I do still think they're smart. I think they have made some mistakes, and I also think there are some things that have not been necessarily under their control. You know what I mean? Like, and I'll give you one. This is not to say, oh, bad luck. Like, look, they have failed these last 2 years. It's not okay. It's not good enough. But for me, it's way bigger than baseball. It's about boredom. It's about a disconnected fan base. But I'm not, and you can if you want. I don't go, hey, Farhan, you jerk, you failed on Aaron Judge. Aaron didn't want to come. He's a free agent. That's up to Aaron. That is completely out of,
right.
It is totally out of Farhan's hands.
And to this conversation, would he have this year been that big injection of excitement.
I don't know. Their record is the exact same thing that
And
the Giants'
he's been
record
hurt
is.
a ton.
Right.
So early on, it would have been like, whoa, yeah, wow. And then he had the toe issue, and he hasn't had the year that he had last year. So it would have been an early infusion, and then it would have been a bunch of what we've had anyway.
Yeah. So I don't blame for that kind of stuff. It's more big picture stuff. It's like your strategy that I may still believe in has led to this. It has led to fans leaving. It has led to disconnection. It has led to you not having enough good players. So I still completely think they're smart. I think they need to adjust, like all of us do when we try something that doesn't work. So I think they need to adjust. I think they're probably going to get another year to do it. That's my guess. But obviously the clock is ticking. And for those of you who are against them, I get it. And you can put that, if you want to call it that, feather in your cap. You're not going to have to suffer through this much longer. It's either going to work or they're not going to be back.
And I wonder where those people sit in terms, and I don't want to single out John Dickinson for anything more than him being pretty vocal on this station of not being a Gabe Kapler fan. So if they bring Cap back and Farhan back, and I think I would put it at a 90% chance that they both come back. That's where I see it in terms of the likelihood, even if they win just 2 of their final 10 and the collapse continues, I still think they both come back.
I agree with you. It's probable. It'd be good for them.
You might put it at 80-20. I don't think it's any less than 75-25% chance that they come back. But if you're not a fan of this regime, what are you thinking about going into next year? Are you hoping that they have a year like this so you can finally be done with them? Or are you loaded up? I know you're not, but I'm asking this for the general fan base because you'll never do that.
I wasn't going to say I'm not going to do that. I was going to say I'll never even understand that.
Right.
I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. You can do what you want. I don't really understand the concept of rooting against your own team. Goo sat here earlier this week and talked about he would trade a bad year for the Cowboys to get Mike McCarthy out. Okay, I don't really get that. I would rather be like, why can't somebody, if you dislike Gabe Kapler and Farhan Zaidi, are you at least open to changing your mind? I'm open to changing mine. I'm open to changing. I might have been wrong. Maybe I've been wrong all these years.
Well,
that's the way I look at it. In other words, if they win 100 games next year, are you going to still stick with, damn it, because I wanted them fired? Well, except for they're doing what you want your team to do in this faux scenario.
Sure, which is win.
So why would you root against it?
Right.
So I just, that's all I look at it like. Be open to going the other way. I might have been wrong, or maybe they're going to figure this out, and maybe they're going to turn it around. And right now, that's what I hope for. I do think they're going to get that opportunity. I also believe that they should. I believe that they should. I don't think, the whole fire Farhan, fire Gabe thing, let's further what that caller just asked us. In favor of who?
Right.
If you're going to say that, I always follow up, okay, and do what? And that's kind of the question right now.
Sure.
What do you want them to do?
888-957-9570. I think it's a fair question in terms of if they were to get fired, who would you go to? Because it's going to be a package deal. So if you want to bring in, is it Chaim Bloom from Boston? I didn't know if I was going to pronounce it right.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I did. But that, yes.
I believe there's a in there. I feel like Larry David right now.
Chaim, exactly. Exactly. It's Hanukkah.
Right. And if he was the runner-up before and you bring him in, then who's your skipper? And do you find, somebody who is going to make a big splash because Gabe Kapler he's done the job and he hasn't, done great, or he's done everything he can. But if you're going to fire one, you're firing both, and you're bringing in both. I believe you're not going to, bring in a new GM and keep the skipper, and you're not going to keep the skipper and bring in a new GM. They're a package deal.
All right, Adam Sandler Tickets SAP Center. Again, we're doing it every day this week. It's courtesy of Live Nation. Pair of tickets every day this week. Stay with us because your opportunity today is coming up within the next 4 or 5 minutes. Okay? Adam Sandler, SAP Center, courtesy Live Nation. Your chance to win today is coming up in just a few minutes. Let's go to Vinny in Napa Valley. Hey, Vinny, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What's up?
All right. So, yeah, I've been a big fan of the Giants my whole life. The last couple of years, I've been blaming me not watching on having a child. But I've realized that it's just because they're not fun anymore. They used to have the panda. They wore the panda hat. The giraffe, right? We had Brandon Belt. Where's that camaraderie in the dugout? Where's that spiel, in their dugout to keep things fun, entertaining, and to draw that crowd in? It's not even about Farhan and Gabe Kapler. I think it's more about them coming together and making it fun and being a team again.
Vinny, I love this take. I love that take. So here's how I would put what he just said. It's not about Farhan and Kapler. Now, they're the ones who are responsible for it, okay? We've all watched this. Whatever industry you work in, you ever seen somebody lose their job and it's like, it's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Too soon, Mark. Too soon. It's been 9.5 years. I'm still not over it.
Look at me, Dibs. It's not your fault.
It wasn't. I got rehired 51 weeks later.
It's not your fault.
I know. I had to have
Dibs.
I think I want to bring you back.
Dibs. It's not your fault.
No, it wasn't my fault. You're making it seem like it's coming again.
Dibs. It's not your fault.
Mark, you're not going to get me to cry.
I'm going to say this until you cry like Goodwill Hunting. That's the way it works.
That was a great scene.
I just keep saying it over and over until you cry and collapse in my arms.
Yeah, I'd have to walk all the way over there, and with my bad knee, could take some time.
We only got till 6 o'clock.
Exactly.
Anyway, we've all seen that. So Farhan and Gabe are the faces of the franchise in terms of off the field, the executives. So sure, there's got to be accountability. Buck stops here, all those cliches. But I love what Vinny's saying because it's so much bigger than that. And that's the problem here. This is almost more about a vibe, okay? Like, if you want to be invited to the party that you want to go to, you want to pull up to the party and you look at it and people are like, man, people are having fun in there.
Sure.
Right? And you don't want to pull up to the bridge party. Like, good Lord. Like, and that's what it feels like right now. Who's responsible for that? I don't know. Everybody.
Exactly.
Everybody. Ownership. Larry, Farhan, Gabe, Kai Correa, Mitch Haniger, Brandon Crawford, Tyrone Estrada. You're all responsible for this product. Some of you are doing your job, and too many of you are, for whatever reason, it's not working. And that's why this is a baseball conversation that to me is actually way bigger than that. It's way bigger than that. You are competing with the 49ers and the Warriors and Deion Sanders.
And you're competing with this. And for those of you not on YouTube, you can't see that I'm holding up my phone because the phone now is walking entertainment. And so if you're not entertaining me a lot over the course of 15 to 20 to 30 seconds, then I'm out. And that means being at a game, watching it on TV. If you happen to want to devote some time to listening to one, if you're not being entertained, then you're not going to stick with something. And I think the last caller made a good point about panda hats and giraffes and just fun right now. Because, like, who's the most fun Giant right now? It's a guy who can't stay on his feet when he's playing left field. Jock Peterson is by far the most fun guy on this team.
I think he was. Well,
he dyes his hair.
You're talking about personality, but I don't think he's been that fun to watch this year.
Well, he hasn't been as good.
Yeah.
But he dyes his hair. He gets slapped by opponents. He's a little roly-poly like most of us.
Yeah.
And he kind of has a little bit of that Keystone Cops, like Pablo Sandoval, kind of like, what am I doing as a pro athlete kind of vibe. And he hits a big home run and he kind of saunters and flips and pimps it. He's very fun and entertaining, but he's like maybe a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, I think this year even that is generous. All right, we got a lot of you who want to weigh in, and we're coming to you. I just don't want to confuse the two lines. If you would like to talk to us about Giants baseball, the end of the season, 888-957-9570. If you'd like to go see Adam Sandler at SAP Center on October 28th, you have to call a completely different number. It's our contest line. Make note of it right now, 415-951-2386. 415-951-2386. Caller 3. 415-951-2386. Caller 3, our winner. Remember, if you don't win today, you got another chance tomorrow and Friday as well. We're doing it every day this week thanks to Live Nation. Let's keep going. SF Bay Drummer in Houston with Willard and Dibs. What's up, Drummer? What are you doing?
Nothing much, man. I'm just really upset about the Giants. I actually tried to call in when I went to go watch the Giants here in Houston. And, I thought that night when Discofani pitched that masterful game and Doval closed it out that things are going to turn around and, the Giants are going to be competitive. And then now to see this, it's just like, oh, my gosh, I should have seen it coming. But, as far as GM, I don't know any names, but I would like a GM that can, build more talent in the farm and actually get some things on the major league level, get some players on the major league level that would make us competitive. And I would also like to see Buster Posey as a manager. I believe his brain goes beyond just being a catcher as a player. I believe he can really lead men and put them in the right position to succeed. And, just lastly, I think we need an owner like Dibs because I can see Dibs, just holding the press conference live on TV and just say, Farhan, you're fired.
Thank you, SFA Drummer.
That's so stupid and so funny at the same time.
He's playing off the Dibber cackle, which it works. It works.
Don't hold a press conference to fire someone at the press conference. Oh, that's
a new way of doing things.
That's a mean streak right there.
Super mean. Super mean. And then
I will listen. I'll say this. I agree. I don't think that he's going to want to do it. I don't know if he'll ever want to do it. But if he did, I think Buster Posey would be an incredible manager. I've watched the effect that he has on that team in the clubhouse.
Right.
I mean, I remember the 107 win season. There were a number of players when people were like, "Why? Why are you guys winning every game? What's going on here?" And a lot of the guys in the first half of the season were like, honestly, just the fact that Buster's back. He came back after missing last year, and it just changed everything. Not because of his batting average, just being here. He was everybody's go-to, everybody's big brother. I know that the public sees him as a very soft-spoken guy, not always behind the scenes.
Right.
This is someone who could inspire teammates for sure.
And sneaky funny, right? As
totally.
A guy who's been in the clubhouse many, many times.
Now, I'd love to see maybe Brandon Belt will retire, and we could get him as the manager, and Fillmore Mike could call in every day and scream. But Brandon Belt, he could do
That's
that.
A 4.
He'd be hilarious as an interview after every game.
He would be, except when they've lost 11 to 13.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough to really be funny.
So,
I looked it up. Buster Posey made $160 million on the field during his career, and we know that he now has part ownership. So as we look at things from the Buster side of this, why would he want to do it? You've got four kids at home, 2 around 11 or 12. And the other youngsters are 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, but what makes people tick? I don't know. He's 36. I don't know. Sometimes we talk about him as if he's like 66.
Right.
36 years old.
I think that when you're 46 and your older kids are in college and your younger kids are maybe, we don't need daddy as much anymore, that's when it makes more sense to me.
I agree with you. I just don't know what makes him tick.
Certainly.
He's already surprised me once. That man left for Georgia. I didn't think he was coming back.
Yeah.
And he up and moved from the peach trees to San Francisco. That is a very large change.
Yeah. But he's already been here, and he's back out near where he used to live. And I don't know his exact address, but I know where he lives.
I know, but raising kids.
It's good living out there.
Georgia versus the Bay Area, that's a very big life change.
It is, but having been here, and, I can't speak to his interpersonal relationship with the missus and all the rest of it, but I know I'd rather live here than in Georgia.
Well, sure.
A little bit more action out here.
Right, but he grew up in Georgia. Sure. Here is home for us. You know,
Here's
again,
been home for him for 15 years or
as a pro, but not for his kids.
True.
Not
And
for
in
his
the
kids.
offseason, I know he'd go back. But in terms of splashes for the Giants, the answer is Shohei Ohtani. Now, if you don't get Shohei Ohtani, then I don't know if there's another name out there, player, manager, general manager, or anybody else who you could bring in who would make the kind of splash that you're looking for. And that's where, you have a big challenge in terms of becoming more entertaining.
I agree with that completely. By the way, we're going to take more of your phone calls here, 888-957-9570. I want to wrap this into it as well when we said we want to talk about the Brandons. So Brandon Crawford left today's game with a hamstring injury, and he has already spoken to Susan Slusser and talked about the difficulty of where we are on the schedule because it might mean an injured list stint. And what I really hope is that Brandon Crawford's career didn't just end. That's what I really hope. We wanted to talk about this even before he got hurt. It has been so quiet. Nobody knows if he's retiring, which makes me think he might be retiring because he probably would have said already, I don't want to retire if he wasn't going to retire. The last homestand of the year is coming up, and it looks like the drama of a playoff chase is probably not going to be a part of it. And so I just wanted to take a moment to point out that Brandon Crawford has been every single thing a quote-unquote forever Giant could be. The greatest shortstop in the history of this organization, a true professional, a champion, a clutch player, a standard-bearing franchise cornerstone type player. He has been absolutely unbelievable and in some unexpected ways. And I don't want that to get lost in the frustration of what's happening now over these final couple of weeks. So if you've got tickets to a game or whatever the scenario is over the next few weeks, make this thing about Brandon Crawford. I don't know if he's leaving. And my gosh, if he ends up having to sit out for the rest of the season, that would be absolutely tragic because this guy deserves a 10-minute standing ovation if he's done as a baseball player and certainly if he's done as a San Francisco Giant. So I want to make sure that we said that out loud. Brandon Crawford, at least locally, is a Hall of Fame name, and I hope that there is a ton of attention on that with whatever's left this season.
I'm glad you said that. And four-time Gold Glover, two-time World Series champ. He's got a Cal League championship in 2010 for the San Jose Giants, a team that I was covering that year with Joe Rizzo. Some of you getting more familiar with the name. They beat Rancho Cucamonga, who featured a guy named Mike Trout. Memorable time in my broadcasting career. Great guy, forever Giant. And I say this with as much respect as I possibly can. Please retire, Brandon, because it's over. It's over. Physically, you can't do what you did even when you're right.
Yeah.
Now you've got the knee that needs constant draining and attention. You got muscle pulls and you have a variety of other maladies. It's okay for it to be over. I would love for him to get that one last at-bat. Rennell now pinch hitting, Brandon Crawford. You get the 5 to 6 minute ovation, pitch clock violations for all my friends, and then let him go and take a couple more hacks one last time and say goodbye his way.
Yeah, it feels like it's time.
It's over, kid.
I never look, if someone wants to pay him and he wants to play,
sure.
Rock out with your Brock out, but I just,
it
it feels like